Welcome to AltJake Takes On. And here's AltJake.
Hello again, everybody. This is AltJake. You're listening to AltJake Takes On, episode number 15. We just keep knocking these out. Loving it. Hi, I'm here with my buddy George, as always. How you doing today, my friend?
Doing well, thank you.
All right, cool. I mean, hey, it's it's been cool to see how far we've grown with these, especially with not only these episodes, but with our Sunday night spaces. I do want to send a special shout out to Johnny Bottles from the SC Maniacs for joining us last week. Or joining us yesterday, I guess, depending on when you listen to this. That was amazing. We had so much fun. That was one of the more different conversations we had. We talked about music, game shows, and wrestling as well. But it's great because we feel like, we had the conversation with RJ that involved football. We like to talk as many topics as possible. So
yeah, keep in mind it's called Sunday Night Spaces. There's no mention of the word wrestling in there anywhere.
Right.
That's done for kind of a reason, because there's some guests that are in the lineup queue that aren't really known for wrestling, but know of wrestling. So
right.
Something.
Yeah. Wrestling adjacent, it's great. I think that's been going, like I said last time, with so much more well than I expected it to go. Not that I had low expectations. I just was unsure, but it's probably the thing I look forward to most every week. So, but yeah,
can I give you next week?
Please, by all means. Yes, absolutely.
Would you like next week's person? I'm 99% positive, so I'll announce it. There's a 1% chance that something might happen, so it's not concrete, but AEW disciplinary committee will be with us next week.
Okay, all right, that's great. Hey, that knocks out the third person from the Tooneytown Wrestling. So I had a couple ideas because I know at least where you're kind of going with, but awesome, that'll be fun. Disc is good people.
Yeah, he doesn't. The other two do them. The other two do interviews. Disc does not. So
right.
I was kind of leery on this one, but.
I was just about to say, you don't see a lot from him outside of their world, so that's really cool. And we'll, obviously, we know that we can have some fun conversations with them. We'll definitely probably crack some jokes about AEW, but we'll talk about the good things as well. That was kind of the enjoyable stuff with Johnny last night of talking about. I like that at the end. We're like, what do you like and dislike about each? So you really do have to think about, because there are some good things going on for sure. But I think one of the big topics that came up during that space is that we touched on at least a bit to at least appease some of the folks in the chat that wanted to hear about it, but it is the big topic in the world right now of professional wrestling, and that is R-Truth and Carlito's contracts not being renewed. I know everyone says they've been released, and I know even R-Truth used the word released, but they weren't really released. It's a contract not being renewed because they're on full-time deals. So and I grabbed this picture as well because the rumor is, at least that I've seen, that Miz's contract is expiring sometime next month in July, and he'll be kind of in that same boat. And so, just want to get our thoughts and kind of talk about that with it. I kind of rambled on about it a bit yesterday, but I'm not sure if you get to give your thoughts as well on it, George, so we can kind of start with you on it. There's
nothing totally surprising. I mean, like right. You said, they've each been there. What? Miz has been there for at least 20 or 15 years, probably. R-Truth's been there about the same. Carlito's been in and out, same. They're all been there forever.
Right. And with Carlito, it was one of those things where he was kind of brought in more as like a nostalgia thing as part of it. Yeah. Just kind of, yeah. There was really never going to be, and I even thought when they brought him in, like, what are they really going to do with him as a main storyline? And he's made it work and had fun with it as well. And R-Truth, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think him and Miz, they're both probably on deals. Usually they were 5-year deals. So if they signed them in summer of 2020, that's still going to be under the Vince regime. And they're probably making full-time, working every show salaries because they were bigger parts of it then, especially under Vince. He liked them both, but maybe it's something where they'll get put to more of a Legends deal, or even something where it can be per appearance. And Miz, it seems like, has already been planning for this. I mean, he's now the new host of American Gladiators. I just found out today he's doing what he calls Miz Golf, where it's a golf show he's doing on YouTube, which, shout out to that name instead of Live Golf, Miz Golf. That's that's pretty class. But I mean, none of it surprises me in that it's one of those things too. It's not like they're fired. They didn't get released. It's just your contracts come to an end. You know, Miz is in his 40s now. R-Truth's in his 50s. Carlito's in his 40s as well. Like, it's not that. I'm not surprised. I wasn't surprised by it at all. It's not that I ever want to see anybody lose their job, quote unquote, but I expect R-Truth to be on a Legends deal fairly soon. Maybe do some TNA appearances. And I mean, I know Titus O'Neil's a goodwill ambassador and a great one, but I don't think there could be a better goodwill ambassador than R-Truth, just in general. I mean, even if
they're not going to lose any work. And if they were any kind of financial minor genius, they're set up for the rest of their lives, plus their kids, plus their kids.
Right. Oh, exactly. Especially for Miz and R-Truth. I mean, I know they said R-Truth has been there 17 consecutive years. I think is what they're 17 total. So yeah, he's made quite a lot. And Miz not only has made so much doing wrestling, but he's been out there and doing his other stuff. I know it was kind of like the tongue-in-cheek joke that he was the A-lister or whatever, but he's been in enough. He's on a lot of red carpets. You know, he's been in a host of a lot of different shows, and actually he's been a part of the WWE system since 2004. He made his first appearance in 2006. So yeah, man's had 20 consecutive years, and as far as I know, it's only that one injury that he got back during the stupid zombie match where he got hurt. But I mean, he's been a consistent worker. He's great for what he does. But I mean, look at the youth coming up. Look at the world of
that's right. Yeah, that's where I was going. Plus, we looked it up before the show, and he's worth $30 million, so he's fine.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I assumed he was somewhere between like the 15 and 20 million network. Yeah, nice. He said,
I got a feeling they're dealing with a call-up system pretty soon. It's going to happen. They're going to have a youth explosion.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we've already seen it on the women's side. Actually, another shout out to you, George, as well, for having the idea to do that NXT women's roster breakdown when we did. You know, I said it was good timing then, and I don't know if it was. I think it was either the day we posted or the next day it was announced that Stephanie Vaquer is gone up to Raw as a full-time member of the Raw roster. So we still got to at least include her in that because there's a lot of movement going on. Never mind the stuff with Evolve and LFG and the ID programs and everything else with it. You know, it's one of those situations where when these releases happen or contract not renewals happen, if you leave amicably, you leave on good terms, there's always the chance you could come back and do something within the company, whether it's another run wrestling or maybe working as a trainer or a coach or coming. I know that you would bring people into the PC to do specific types of coaching and training, you know, where they would have Undertaker and like Scott Hall work with the big man. Well, I mean, Miz can work with people of like how to get the personality out of you, how to maximize that within it. You know, that's where I think whenever Chelsea Green retires, I mean, I'm not sure if there'd be a better promo coach than somebody like Miz or Chelsea Green that can really maximize that time and really accentuate their skills and how to hide their weaknesses.
Yeah, I think you pegged Miz's trajectory pretty well with the game show stuff and the stuff, you know, that he's really good at doing. He'll probably end up doing that. I bet he does that for the next 2-3 years or so. And then he comes back to WWE in a different kind of role.
It's one of the it makes the perfect sense to me. It's one of the first off, it kind of goes into one of those cliches. That's a good cliche that Cornette always says, how can I miss you if you don't go away? So there's that part of it, but he's great at stuff like that, whether it's the hosting or, you know, being the secondary. I'm sure he could do color commentary on different things depending on what it was. He can really interact with anybody. I feel like he's kind of on the he's good like with what was it? I always forget his real name, but AC Slater, Mario Lopez, like where he went and hosted like Extra or different things like that. You know, maybe make some TV movies or B-style streaming movies or something like that, but always have work. He's a hard worker. He's willing to do anything. He's got no problem being the butt of the joke. And I think Gladiators will probably be that, not so much a coming out party for him, but kind of like proof of concept. Here's who I am. Here's what I can do. And there's probably a bunch of different options for him.
We'll see what happens. I'm interested in the Miz just because he's been around so long.
Yeah.
We've gotten to see his growth and what he went through and how he's become a staple item, and now he's got to see what he can do afterwards.
Yeah, no, and it seems like he's at least setting himself up well for that in preparing for it with what he's done.
R-Truth, I think you might have something going down and teaching promo classes with him.
That would be, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he does something in TNA as well. That really wouldn't surprise me in the least. I know a lot of the AEW fans and people. It's funny, a lot of people that were complaining that Truth was involved in the Saturday Night Main Event match against Cena, complaining and saying this is terrible. Why is this on TV? Are the same people crying that he was released, even though he really wasn't. But it's either here or there. But
I've managed to separate myself from that. I don't even see it.
I've seen. The thing is, what I've seen. It's funny that you said it. What I've seen are people that I follow reposting screenshots of it. Yeah, I try not to get involved with it. I did initially, and then I just gave up. Kind of like with certain trolls or certain things. Like you try, I will, because I'll just have a discussion with anybody. Would give me valid points. I'm happy to have a valid discussion. That's half of the reason we do the Spaces show. But when it's just this is bad or this is good because I think it is. It's not a discussion. That's just
plus a lot of things people say they spoil a lot of shit. Like they'll spoil their own storylines without even knowing they're spoiling them. I want to be surprised. I don't want to know anything. That was the whole idea of me watching wrestling in the first place.
Right?
Just to be surprised in what the storylines are and what's going on.
And great point out there, because how great has it been to see the returns or the surprises that have not been spoiled, whether it's
they're keeping stuff really quiet now. Which I appreciate.
I love it. It makes it so much more enjoyable to watch. And I can tell you from experience of when I missed one of them because when Ricky Saints debuted in NXT, I was out at a show with my wife and had my phone in my pocket and, don't really look or don't really care. It was your intermission. And I happened to look at my phone and it's got 37 Twitter notifications. I got 4 different text messages from people. I'm like, oh, shit, something happened. But it's because it was a big surprise and a big moment. And that's really cool. They can do that. Where I think, a lot of people are thinking that Truth is going to go, we're not thinking, but they want Truth to go to AEW, which I don't see happening at all. But I do think it would be funny if he showed up in TNA and per the gimmick, either thought that it was still exactly what it was when he was there. So he's looking around for different people. If nothing else, they should do something with it so that he and Santino can interact. Because
that can work.
Tell me that's not going to be fun, right?
No, I think that can definitely work.
I think there'd be something great where if they did something and they were being just super corny and embarrassing, and then Ariana just has to leave the room because she's, too many dad jokes or whatever. There's something there, and it would be good for TNA. TNA has been trying to grow and get better.
Do you remember, I think a couple episodes, we were just kind of goofing around talking about TNA getting a better TV deal?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Because
all of a sudden, I've noticed that the people are talking about TNA possibly looking to get a new TV deal. I mean, we talked about this, and there was a reason why I talked about it. I have a feeling, and I told you about it, the CW would be interested in TNA.
100%. For a multitude of reasons, if nothing else.
I don't know anything about that. I'm just speculating on that.
Yeah. Okay. No, we are not dirt sheets. We do not have any sources. If someone wants to reach out and DM, I'm happy to discuss things with folks. But as of now, we have no sources. But there's a couple reasons why I think that would be a good idea. I mean, from TNA or from the CW standpoint, they don't have that much original programming. I mean, they're a network, but it's not like they've got, it's not even like network TV is what it used to be, where they have tons and tons of shows, but they have been really investing in sports, whether that is the NASCAR racing or the college football that I've seen. But also, I feel like it would be a smart way for them to kind of hedge their bets, because there's no way they're going to be able to keep NXT at the same deal that it is now. WWE knew what they were doing by giving the CW a sweetheart deal, because it wasn't about the money they were going to make from CW. It's nice, but it was more about getting those folks on network television and kind of having that whole spectrum where they've got, SmackDown on cable television, they've got Raw on streaming television, and they have NXT on broadcast television. So they're covering all their bases. But whether CW can afford to keep NXT is going to be, because I think it was a 3-year deal. So we'll see what happens at that point. And if they can't, at least if they had TNA as well, they could fall back on it.
So what you're thinking is CW signs TNA to the Thursday night lineup, and they'll have NXT on their Tuesday night lineup. And then when the renewal comes, NXT is going to go over to Netflix.
Probably.
CW will still have TNA in their back pocket.
Bingo. That is exactly what I was thinking. That seems, and then, or maybe they can keep NXT and then they have both for longer. Great, because they're doing well in the ratings or whatever. But it's a good plan for all involved. And I know whenever you bring up TNA to somebody that hasn't watched or isn't paying much attention, the first thing they say is, well, I can't watch it because, like, what channel is it on? Like, unless you have, as far as I know in the States, unless you have direct TV, it's very hard to get access television as far as I know.
I'm not sure it's on my YouTube TV. I'm pretty positive I can't. I don't know for sure.
I'm not surprised.
I'd have to look.
No, I'm not surprised. No, it's one of those things that, you know, I'm able to watch it through the direct TV that I've got, but I know like it's a very small number of it. And those channels are in like, you know, like the upper 300s, and it's just
340.
Yeah, it's not something that you really pay much attention to. But the CW, I mean, I know some of the TV setups that I've seen at like friends' house or things, they've got like the different categories where it's like, you know, sports channel, entertainment, but usually in the general like entertainment is the networks and the main cable, and CW's right in there. As we're right now, it's like I don't even know where access would show up, like miscellaneous, like it's not. Yeah, there's not as much behind it. So I wouldn't be surprised at all. And that's why I think they've invested not only so much in what they're doing with their own talent, but letting the NXT folks come in and be a part of it. You know, for the Trick, I'm still surprised that Trick Williams is the TNA champion, but I don't think it's exactly. It's not a burial of the company. It was more of a moment for the company and where they can use it. You know, I watched TNA on Thursday, and they were kind of galvanizing behind it. Trick's a heel to them, at least to the announcers, where it's like he doesn't care about this company, only cares about himself. They're like trying to they're rallying around it, using it as a storyline. And the better that they do, especially every time I see their shows, it looks like a packed house. Looks like a fun house too. They're always chanting and they're loud and standing the whole time, as opposed to other shows where we see people walking out before the main event.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't be surprised.
I caught a reaction like, well, WWE's coming in and now you have a WWE guy as a TNA champ. And people were kind of putting that down. But look who he's facing for the championship, Santana. You don't think that Santana is going to win that belt back? I do.
I absolutely do, especially, and they were really behind, like, I forget, what is the announcer who used to be on WWE, and they went over there, like Todd Heffernan or Hennigan or whatever his name is, but he was like really hitting home about how Trick doesn't care, but Mike Santana is TNA in his blood. You know, he's ready to back. And I mean, I was watching that and getting like fired up for it. Like, yeah. And how great was Santana in the promo on Battleground, and then in the match against Tavion Heights on Tuesday, he really put on a show. Like that was, I'd be shocked if he didn't beat Trick, or if he doesn't, it'll be some kind of screwy finish so they can then.
When's their show at the USB Arena?
At the the one that's I don't know.
Slammiversary. When's Slammiversary?
Let me look that up.
Because if they don't do it on this one, they'll do it there.
Right.
No, that's far in the future.
Call. No, it is July 20th.
I just thought of it. See, they can wait then. They can wait.
Oh yeah. They can wait.
So maybe I'll take back what I said then.
Well,
maybe this one Santana will lose in some kind of heelish fashion, and then they'll reschedule it for that date there, and then they'll have a packed house in New York where he's from. That might work. Yeah, I changed my mind completely.
You just change the timing of it. Santana's just a little. And as I was,
now I'm excited.
Right? You got to be pumped about that. Like that'll be fun. Shoot, I'll watch that pay-per-view. And with Trick Williams, everyone was kind of people are saying that he's ready to come up, and what I was saying was I feel like this is his last kind of hurrah in NXT before he's called up. He's done the initial heel stuff as a lackey. He did the babyface stuff, and then back to more of heelish stuff in NXT. He was never going to be a full heel at NXT. I mean, he's just too charismatic, which I think is why they have him in TNA, so he can be a heel, learn how to, or not learn, but get that experience. Because I would assume after he drops the title to Santana, he's on Raw or SmackDown moving forward from there. Like
that's how I was thinking that time frame. That's how I was thinking that time frame in my head. I'm like, so he's champ now. He'll beat Santana the first time. He'll lose to him in New York, and that's their Slammiversary in July. Then SummerSlam, he could come in for SummerSlam if he wanted to.
Well, the TNA pay-per-view, what I'm looking up here says that it's Sunday, July 20th, 2025. He could be on Raw on the 21st. I'm not sure where it is, Ben, but you know what I mean? Like, it could work very, very well.
It makes sense.
It's a great experience for him. Absolutely.
It makes perfect sense. I got excited. I got excited planning my own shit there. That was nice.
And that right there is why the partnership makes so much sense and why it works. Like, that's why they're doing it. People, well, I don't say people. I feel like it's more the trolls or the sickos that badmouth it. The only people that don't think this is a good partnership for both companies involved are people that don't want it to be. I think there's the way this has worked. WWE has got to have some of their folks go and get extra work and in different experience down in NXT or down in TNA, and then vice versa. And TNA's gotten so much exposure with Joe Hendry and now Santana. Like, it makes too much sense for me.
Yeah. So I'll pose the question: does Anthem sell?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure if WWE here's the thing. I don't think Triple H would want to buy them. I think he likes it the way it is. Now, TKO buy is a little, that's where it can be different. You know what I mean? I could see TKO wanting to acquire and putting them all under the umbrella, but I think Triple H understands that you need to work and you need to have other options and things around. I mean, that's the whole reason he went to WWF in the first place, was because Eric Bischoff removed house shows, and he's like, no, I need to work. That's the only way I'm going to get better is by working. And that's, and so I feel like for him, he wants it the way it is. Now, Ari Emanuel and those folks, I don't know.
I don't see what the benefit would be when I think about it after I asked the question.
I don't either. Only in the sense of, and when people, the being a monopoly, owning it all, hey, they don't need to. Like, it's not, TNA's no threat. They're never going to overtake them. But, it's like one of those things. They can help them out. It makes what they've been doing with this partnership since they've been doing it officially on paper for the few months that it's been. But really, it goes back to last year when, Joe Hendry was on their shows and headlining their pay-per-view, headlined the No Mercy pay-per-view or PLE. It's worked completely. It's definitely got me more interested in TNA. I would watch TNA, if I had nothing else to do on a Thursday evening or if I thought about it. But now I have it set on my DVR. Like, I'm ready to at least watch it, or if I don't catch it live, I'll record it because I usually want to at least see something going on. And not everything's great. There's still parts of TNA that are a little indie, but that's what they're supposed to do. That's what they are. They're doing it in front of, 600 to 2,000 people. That's an indie.
And the other thing is, does Anthem really lose anything if they switch networks? Like, they own access,
right? I think they would gain.
That's what I'm thinking. Everybody always says, well, they own the network. Well, so what?
So then the costs are nothing. Okay,
exactly.
Great, but
then
now
the costs are still nothing because now it's sold to somebody else.
Right. I would think that's the thing is I think Anthem will keep own. Yeah, but they'll sell because if Anthem was able to get TNA on CW and get whatever that deal is, that's profit, or at least it's a push into the profit direction. I mean, if they're running it on their own network doesn't cost them anything now, great. But wouldn't you rather get paid for that? It makes sense. I would think.
I would think so.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. There's probably some other bidding in there, but I would be surprised if the CW doesn't make a concerted push for that because they don't think WWE would care. I think if they still had the partnership going, that'd be great. You can use Tuesday to promote Thursday and Thursday to promote Tuesday. Like, awesome.
Yeah, it'd be interesting
Works
to
for
see
me.
what happens here. I'm cool with it. I'm down.
Yeah.
That big show they got in New York is going to be cool.
Definitely.
And another big show coming up is All in Texas.
Yeah.
And I have a question about All in Texas for you.
Okay.
Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm. Do you think it'll headline the show?
At this exact moment, I don't see how it doesn't. I mean, like, because let's see what happens, because I'm hearing there's some other rumors that I've heard that they might have Darby come in and somehow take that title shot from Paige and I don't know. If it ends up being Darby versus Mox and he's going to win it, make that the main event. But if it's not, even if it's going to be Hangman beating him, I would think this is a bigger money match. Because, I mean, obviously Mercedes she's undefeated. She's the most pushed female in the history of that company. And I would say the second most is Toni. So when you get to the match itself,
it'll be good.
Mercedes, I think, absolutely. It will be a good match, because what I always say about Mercedes is she is a good wrestler as long as her opponent is a good wrestler.
And Tony's
fantastic.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. I would hope that Toni would retain so that Mercedes could have something change in her story. Like, my hope, but this is long-term booking and they don't really do that. That company is the entire reason that you're building her up the way they are of undefeated is so that she can then have that crazy downfall where she loses to Toni and then loses whatever those. Oh, well, one of them's the Owen belt. She's not going to lose that. But the other belt, she had 2 other belts that she's got. And then the TBS title, she loses all those, goes through some kind of character changing arc to then have a comeback story to then win the women's title. But I have a sneaking suspicion that she'll just play her Hogan card and
see,
Toni Storm.
I don't even think she has to play the Hogan card. I hate to say this, god damn, but I think it's natural that she actually wins.
Okay.
And then and Toni goes into a fucking tailspin and she goes into a character flaw,
But she just recently did that though. And
they'll be happy to do it again, because now now the gimmick
is
fucking true. Jumped the shark for me a little while ago, but maybe we can dial it down a little bit. I think Mercedes wins, and I'm okay with it, actually. Boy,
I mean, you're right to that point. My brain can't. I have to get into the mindset of how AEW books of that they can do the same thing again. Because, my first thought is, well, didn't Toni just do that with it? But you're right. They don't care.
Yeah.
I could see it. The problem is for me of like, when does Mercedes ever have any character change in evolution? Or is she just the belt collector, I guess? I don't know. For me, but I am biased because I have not liked really anything she's done in the company, aside from some of the matches have been enjoyable, but that's like that company's that could be like that company's tombstone, stories don't really matter, but the matches are sometimes fun. But like I want to sink my teeth into more, and that's I wouldn't say like a full sad Baron Corbin situation where she goes into the dumps or that, but some sort of character evolution. But
I think they've gotten to the point now where she can't lose.
Yeah,
she's already buried the whole division. So you might as well just keep it going.
She's already buried the whole.
It's like
division.
the Moxley thing. Just keep it going. Fuck it. Just keep going.
Yeah.
At this point, you're already done. So just.
Yeah. No. And really, like, there was really for me only 2 answers to ever beat Moxley, and the number one is Darby, because Moxley took his title shot, and that's what I felt like it was being set up for. But then he decided to go climb Everest, which. I know we all heard he reached the summit. Did he ever come down?
Yeah, he made it down.
All right, cool. Sweet. I'm glad to hear that. But the other option was Ospreay, just because he's the supposed future of the business, future of the company. They all glaze him, whatever. So if it's Mox versus Paige, like Mox is just gonna continue along and so
I don't. People are talking about Paige bringing it back again. I don't think so. I just don't think so, because I think the obvious choice is Ospreay.
Yes,
he's the guy. He's younger. He's got something. I don't see it. I do see it, but I don't like it. How's that?
Here's the thing.
And he should get it.
I see the talent and the potential to be a great wrestler, but he's not a wrestler. He just does spots and moves. And my number one saying, like, once we start making t-shirts, again, subscribe, share it with your friends. Once we hit the 500 subscriber mark, we'll start to do more with it. But like, one of the things I want to put on a t-shirt is, like, if they're not selling, I'm not buying. Like, that's my main criticism of a lot of the wrestling in AEW. It's just, they just boom, because they want to get everything in as opposed to making things special. And he's like the king of that, where he does every move in every match, usually more than once, and just doesn't, they don't let anything resonate. They don't let anything sell at that moment.
The question is on that then, are they just doing what they're told?
I mean, in the sense of the booking wise of it, or in the matches?
Yeah.
I feel like the matches.
If Tony says to him, go out there and do it, you're going to do it. That's your boss.
Yeah, I don't think Tony.
I'm coming at this from a nice angle here, aren't I?
No, I love it. I don't think Tony's telling him like what moves to do.
What if they're just what they're told?
By who though? Like, is Tony telling him like, I want to see 3 hidden blades and 2 have a coronas and all that? I mean, maybe,
possibly.
I feel like it's more like
it's a general question.
Giving you 20 minutes. I think it's more they know that Tony wants that. He wants the bam, 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 bam wrestling, and he's giving everybody he gives everybody 18 to 25 minutes, if at minimum, to do that on the pay-per-views and even on a lot of the Dynamites. And so I just think they're allowed to. I'm not sure if they're
if you're okay, you're I'm gonna take this to
awesome.
And I said, you got a match with Kyle Fletcher, you got 25 minutes. Do what you need to do. That's what he probably says.
I'm sure.
How are you supposed to fill 25 minutes then?
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's where the agents should come in, but all we've ever heard is nobody listens to the agents. Nobody cares about that shit. Oh God. Yeah, no, you're and there's and you know what could help this? You know what could help solve a lot of that problem? A fucking production meeting. But who has those?
Well, now if you come at take it to another side of it. I'm Tony Khan, you're Will Ospreay, and I say, listen, Will, you got 15 minutes. Get together with Jerry Lynn and Kyle Fletcher and come up with something that's really compelling. That's a whole different ball.
And that's what they should be doing. But
because Jerry Lynn knows what he's doing. He's not being
absolutely. Oh no, we brought that up on our spaces yesterday about how long Jerry Lynn's been doing this and in how many different promotions, territories, whatever. No, Jerry Lynn's Jerry Lynn should be like the best agent there, but does anybody actually even use the agents? I really don't know.
Yeah, I wish we knew the inside. How things actually work, because I don't know.
Yeah, well, and with Adam Page, I mean, he lost me way back whenever it was where he's like, oh no, I don't worry about taking advice from veterans. Like, no, F you, dude. Like, that's in any company, in any business, in any whatever, you should always try to listen to people who have done it before, but especially in the professional wrestling business. Like, that's the number one, like, what was it always? Ernie Ladd, he would come in and sit down with the chair, come down and sit under the learning tree, boy. Like, that's what he did, because you got to learn, and that's how you got better. Like, the best story is that whether it's Jim Cornette or from Tales from the Territories or any of those old wrestling stories or shoot interviews that you see, everybody says the best way to learn. I was young. I sat in the back seat of the car and listened to the veterans talk as we went from town to town.
Yeah, which they don't do anymore.
This is true.
No, which they don't do on the road anymore.
Right? No, absolutely. But at least do it in the building.
Yeah, so one strike there. So you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, no, but at least go into the building, ask questions, have somebody, hey, watch my match. Like Regal used to talk about it on the podcast that he did until he stopped doing that. Of like, I would come in, and if people wanted to talk to me, I was there to be asked, but sometimes I would just stand there, like, and that's the whole reason of why they need a PC and why they need to invest more into those. But Tony's got that mindset of the indie mindset that it's fine. We don't need that. We don't need super intricate stories. We just need great matches, but it just doesn't work for television, which is something you, my friend, have said pretty much from the beginning of when we, not only from this show, but like the beginning of when we connected as friends of like, he doesn't know how to book television, whether it's wrestling. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's not television.
Yeah. Hangman's first run as champ, I didn't mind. Like, he was over with the fans. People liked him. I kind of enjoyed it. I didn't really 100% love it, but I didn't mind it. It didn't offend me in any way.
I mean, the storyline getting there was good. What was good? There were parts of it that were a little silly with the too much silliness in the vignettes, but the idea of it was he had gotten down on himself. He had lost all of his friends. He was falling down, he was falling down the bottom of a bottle. Like, that was all good. And then it's funny you say that. The first AEW pay-per-view that I actually like ordered and wanted to watch and pay for was that one. I wanted to see, they had that cool entrance with him on the horse going through. I think it was Minnesota. I feel like, maybe I'm wrong. But it was a really cool visual, the way it was done, and like how he beat Omega, like, and the story behind them, like, that was great. Beyond that, I don't really remember it being like it was fine, but I felt like that was the epitome of Tony of being like, I've got a plan to get to here. What do we do after that? Oh, I don't fucking know. That's what I felt like that was.
Recently I mentioned it because everyone's mentioning this resurgent arc story from Hangman then till Hangman now. And I have yet to connect that, but
ditto, 100%. I'm like, no, they've already done the redemption for him. This isn't, and I see them trying to get into it. It's like, my kid opened up presents on Christmas, and I'm looking out the window, and then I see what they're trying to do, but it just feels like a shit rehash to me. Like, you just didn't have what you didn't have. It's got no balls. Like, it's there, but it's just got no oomph. It's kind of like similar to him and Swerve of like, I'm light your house on fire. Like, whoa, what?
Yeah, now we're best friends.
Right.
I respect you for burning my house down.
Yeah, right. Not only my house, but my childhood home. Like, dude, you burned down my childhood home. Like, we're not just gonna like be cool later. Yeah. And that was the other thing, is I thought the storyline was going to lead to him and Swerve against the Bucks at All In. So that's the other reason I was totally surprised that he beat Ospreay. Like, there's a multitude of reasons he shouldn't have beat him, but I thought that was why they were going for that. But fuck do I know?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, but I expect Moxley to retain for some strange reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because Paige isn't the guy. Like I said, if somehow they change it, but Paige isn't the guy.
Neither is Darby's not the guy either. Ospreay's the guy. That's it.
I agree. But I see where the fans think Darby is the guy, and they set it up that way. But I agree. I always thought it was Ospreay. I thought it was Ospreay last year at All In. But
as much as Ospreay looks like a goof, I can't get behind Darby. I respect Darby. He's a good dude. Seems like a really strange fella, but whatever. But I can't get behind a guy that's 5'5" and 130 pounds as your world heavyweight champion. I can't do it.
Well, I could for Rey Mysterio when he was it, because he was a wrestler. Like, he was doing wrestling moves and like overcoming and barely winning. Like, Darby just sacrifices his body. So it's just like, there's only so much that can work, and that just doesn't work for me as a world champion.
You can't do it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Speaking of surprises, I think we should at least get into NXT a bit, because NXT had a lot of surprises. Initially starting with Ethan Page beating Ricky Saints for the NXT North American title to open up NXT on Tuesday. That was a surprise. Rumor being that that Ricky Saints is on his way up to the main roster, which doesn't surprise me in the least. I kind of felt like NXT was just hey, we're able to sign you now because the Tony let you go, so we're going to put you here through WrestleMania because we don't want to put you on the main roster and not give you a Mania match. We don't have time for that. So it worked perfectly, and I see him coming up. I actually think he might show up at Money in the Bank. I actually think that's a pretty good chance that Ricky shows up at Money in the Bank. I think, but did you watch NXT?
I caught most of it.
Okay.
That's for me. That's a big step for me.
So here's what I think. I'm not sure, but I might as well fantasy mark book it for now for fun. So what I think is during the tag match of Cody and Jay versus Logan and Cena, somehow Travis Scott will come out maybe, or some other kind of situation will happen, but Ricky will make the save and the show will end with Ricky, Cody, and Jay celebrating in the ring, which instantly Ricky's over from that point. Like, it's one of those situations where a lot of us know who he is, whether the hardcore fans or the folks that watch NXT. But the folks that don't, you see this guy come out and hit a move on Logan Paul, and Logan Paul sells his ass off because he's fantastic at that.
Well, that's SmackDown, right?
No, I'm talking about
no, that's the SmackDown roster, though.
Right? Yeah, that is. I'm just
I don't know that. I'm asking. I didn't know.
Yeah, it is. I don't know about Logan. Logan and Jay are technically Raw wrestlers. But Cody and you're right. Cody and Cena are on the SmackDown roster, which is also why it's a good way for him to come in and debut, because then they can kind of have a bidding war with Pierce and Aldis of who wants to sign him. I just think that would be a fantastic way to main roster debut him at a big show with major stars involved. As long as he, hits everything right, looks good, looks like a star, it's a great send-off for him. We'll see. I'm not sure, but I don't see any reason why he needs to stay in NXT any longer.
No, I'm just like I've said about all the people we talk about that move up. I'm always concerned about the main people, WWE fans, recognizing and acknowledging who these people are. Which
it's a great segue. I think that was but we'll segue this way a bit where I think it's been great that they've involved folks on SmackDown a bit more recently. Where they had Javon Evans show up on SmackDown, Ethan Page show up on SmackDown, where they're at least doing some introductions of folks, whether it's in matches. Ethan Page is great as a heel commentary. So I feel like WWE, maybe there is someone that's listened to you on that one, George, because I feel like ever since you've said that, they've planted a little bit more seeds, even with like Vaquer and Julia and Roxanne being on Raw before they were called up, and now they've all been called up. So I think it's great they could plant the seeds well and at least try to do some sorts of introductions where they can. It does. And then what they're very smart about it too is they clip the best parts of it and throw them on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, so people can see the little clips in the little bit. So it does seem like something they're doing very well.
Yeah, it's good to see they're doing that. I
agree.
Paid attention, but I didn't notice this when you got on there. I missed that one. So
it was during the Javon Evans. It was Javon Evans and Ray Phoenix, I think, teamed up. Yeah, but it was just one of those things where when I saw that, I thought of you. I'm like, well, they're planting the seed. Look at that. And they're like, hey, here's this person, here's that person. So unlike when it was under Vince, where it was not only did you have no idea who this person was when they were called up, but the person didn't know who they were because they changed their name, changed their gimmick, gave them a whole bunch of new crap.
Karrion Kross.
Right. He had was it Max Dupree? They don't get.
No, you
were set up for failure. Just set up. My bad.
Max Dupree.
So, side note about my life, I was at the very first show that he was in the ring. That happened in Phoenix. It was July, like 2 years ago, I think, and where he did the introduction and talked about the maximum male models and their poses or whatever, and just it was death. Especially because from what I saw, the only reason it was any good was because Pat McAfee was making fun of it on commentary, but without that commentary and an audience, it was literal death. That's
people actually knew who Eli Drake was.
Right? We knew who LA Knight was. I did from NXT. But just one more quick thing about NXT and back to the call-ups. Stephanie Vaquer lost the NXT title to JC Jane in a great match, and Vaquer looked strong still because Fallon kicked her in the head. Like, they did a bunch of heel cheating moves to have JC win because, as we said, Stephanie Vaquer has been called up and will have her official main roster first match. She's had matches on Raw before, but tonight is her first official match in that Money in the Bank qualifying match, which I think is a great showcase for her. But I was surprised by this. I didn't see this coming. I thought Vaquer would be going. I thought she would have some sort of involvement at the Worlds Collide show, and she still might on Saturday, but not if she wins. Not if she wins tonight and is in the Money in the Bank match. But maybe they feel like they don't need to worry as much about having her on that card because they've set themselves up with some really good matches for Worlds Collide. But
yeah, I think she'll be there. She'll be there.
I do too. I don't. I would assume that they will.
You can't.
She won't win tonight, but she won't be involved in the finish, so that she doesn't. So she still looks strong. And then, yeah, I would think she's even if she just makes it. Or the AAA shows earlier in the day, maybe they have her come out on stage, cut a promo, and then go to the.
There's no way you can have a AAA show with that name and her language ability. You can't miss. You can't.
Wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, and I think that was why I was so surprised this happened here. I just thought she would have been the women's NXT champion at that show, but I feel like they're probably set themselves up well. Speaking of the Worlds Collide show, after Ethan Page won the title, the North American title at the beginning of the show, he came out before the main event and started cutting a promo, and then Javon Evans comes out and tells them it's going to be a fatal 4-way involving Rey Fenix and Laredo Kid, who I've seen like 2 matches of his on YouTube from AAA. So that should at least be an exciting and fun match where you've got 2 pretty solid luchadors. You got Javon Evans, who's one of the most athletic people in the business today, and then Ethan Page, who's he'll be kind of like the general, being able to slow things down, kind of keep everybody at pace, kind of drive the match. But I'm not sure, but this one might be the one I'm looking forward to the most at the Worlds Collide show. But I thought that was cool to see them come out.
They make no mistake about putting that streaming on YouTube on there, don't they?
Yes, and they did it. I noticed during NXT on Tuesday, and then I thought they were really selling it home on SmackDown on Friday during the videos and testatours. Like, make sure YouTube, like streaming on our WWE's YouTube, because that's kind of new for them. I don't think, at least in the States. I know they do like the Saturday night's main events or some other shows internationally on the international YouTube, but this one's going to be the first. I mean, I assume it's just worldwide on YouTube. I would
think about what kind of money WWE must be bringing in from this in order to get you to promote YouTube like that, because it's on Peacock.
Is it? I didn't think it. Is it actually on Peacock too?
Yeah, it's NXT. Unless my fucking thing was wrong that I saw, but I thought I saw it on there this afternoon. I'll have to go look.
I haven't looked.
Now I'd have to go check again.
I haven't looked, but that's interesting. I just know that. I mean, it would make sense because I know the pre-show for Money in the Bank is basically starting like the moment Worlds Collide ends. So it would just make sense. I mean, I would rather just put Peacock on my TV and just not worry about it. That'd be a heck of a lot easier. But, I understand. I'm not sure. I'm wondering if they do just make it YouTube exclusive, if it's more of like a trial run. Or even if they don't make it exclusive, it's a trial run.
NXT Worlds Collide can be watched on Peacock. You can stream the events on them. Yeah, so there you go.
That's smart. I mean, hey, that's smart. Cover as many bases as you can, but it makes sense to do it, especially internationally for YouTube, for what the show is involving the lucha talent and everything. I think it's a brilliant plan for them, and that's where some of the business tactics and some of the business moves that TKO makes are a little cringe, and a lot of it make you just think like it's a little bit too deep into the capitalism, but also I get it. So. But this seems cool. This seems like it'll be a fun Saturday. It's to be a very long Saturday, but I'm looking forward to it for sure. The other big match I think it's on the card is, which Vikingo has now won the AAA. I think it's the Mega Championship. I think it's what it's called. But you got Vikingo versus Chad Gable. That should be interesting. I'm wondering if they have a.
Did he beat Alberto? Did he beat Alberto then?
He did. He did. On Saturday night, he did. I saw the clip. There was some sort of like shadiness to it, but it was he beat Alberto on Saturday night at whatever the AAA show was there.
Interesting.
Right. I mean, we all kind of knew that was coming just because, let's be real, Alberto and WWE is probably not the best connection there. But I'm interested in this, that it's not El Grande Americano, and if they try to have I don't know, one of the Creed brothers or somebody come out dressed as El Grande, but be clearly not Chad Gable. It'll be interesting to see what they do for that one. But I think it's very funny and very telling to see Vikingo being so featured on WWE television. Wasn't that long ago we were seeing him on AEW. I mean, he was on TNA as well, but yeah, it's just funny to see him being featured as heavily as he is, whether it's in the crowd at the shows, in the commercials. There was a video that they ran the same video package for him on Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. So they're really hammering that home.
Yeah, I saw him on the AEW show a couple of times. I was never a big fan, but
I wasn't really either. It was one of those situations where, and also too, I feel like at least the matches I saw, there was a lot of like multi-man stuff where it'd be like an 8-man tag. There's too many people, and a lot of them are doing the same kind of stuff. And then also, I feel like AEW has that thing. And again, I'm quoting Jim Cornette, but he's one of my favorite people in the business. But where he's like, "Hey, I need you to do a difficulty of 5, but an execution of 10." And I feel like a lot of times in AEW, they're like, difficulty of 8 and execution of 4. Like, no, the other way. And I feel like that was where he had mishaps in AEW, was because, again, to your point, he was just allowed to do whatever the hell he wanted. So hopefully they'll rein him in more. And one of those things where maybe he ends up being a great talent in not only AAA, but maybe on WWE big shows one day. But we'll see.
I think their plan is to keep him where he is. You know what I mean?
I would think so.
Promote him heavily.
So.
Promote him heavily in WWE, and just let him go do his AAA thing.
Yeah, I mean, AAA's obviously it's it's either the biggest or second biggest promotion in Mexico, and it's very important to that culture. And they didn't acquire it, to just shut it down or not make money with it. So yeah, you still got to have your big stars, and clearly they have invested in him. But yeah, I think that'll be a very fun match and a fun show for sure. And then, yeah, right afterwards is Money in the Bank, because this starts at 3 Eastern, and Money in the Bank starts at 7 Eastern. So, or maybe it's 8. I don't know. I know there's the pre-show in between, but gonna be interesting to see. I think I'm most interested in the 2 Money in the Bank matches, and then the tag match should be. I think that'll be more story driven. It probably won't be the best match, but hopefully my prediction is right about Ricky Saints making his debut. Hey, I was right about Bronson Reed, so I'll take the wins where I can get them. I'm usually wrong. So.
We'll do a show previewing this before it goes off on Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah, today's Monday. Let me know.
Plenty of time.
Yeah.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure everybody's been able to hear the much better sound quality of George with the new microphone. Literally, mine is on the way to my house right now. We wanted to get this episode in before Raw kicks off tonight, but no, this was good.
Can we discuss one last thing?
I was just you read my mind, buddy. I'm like, I think I covered everything I had on my list, but if there's anything else you want to cover, my friend, let's talk about
a quick simple discussion.
Sure.
HBK Booker of the Year.
I mean, yes, as long. I mean,
it's 6 months in, but come on.
I think I think he's been doing it a bit longer. I say yes, as long as there isn't like. I don't think Triple H is involved. I know he's on like the executive producer thing at the end, but if it's all Sean doing it in full, and I think it is as well, absolutely. Because here's the thing. The main roster shows there are some bigger moments with bigger stars, and there are some of like the very high end stuff is like the best stuff, yes. But NXT consistently, like there's nothing that bad on it for me. And if it is, it's because they're growing. But the thing for me is NXT might not be the best show every week. Some weeks it definitely is. This past week it definitely was. But for me, it's the most fun show. And he's working with the talent that he's got and helping them maximize and grow. And for me, that's the best part of NXT, of watching somebody evolve and get better. And there's even those certain moments where you see it click, like Trick Williams is a prime example. After Mello left, he was kind of struggling a bit, and then he started to figure it out. And then you could just see him now when he comes out, like he's just got that strut about him. Like it makes sense to him. And that's just fun for me to watch. He has to take constant chicken shit
and make it no, seriously.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Constant chicken shit, make it the chicken salad every so often they bring people in.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's what they're there for, and it's fun to see what he can do because he obviously knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
when you see him actually take the talent to whatever he does on the side, I don't know.
Yeah,
but they listen to him.
Oh, and that's the other thing too. There's certain people that you definitely want to listen to, as we were talking about before, and like you get the chance to learn under Sean. How could you not want to? But I also think it's cool that he pays tribute to different stuff from his past, but just different stuff from other things in the history of wrestling as well. I feel like that also is very good for the talent that is like more, let's say, the NIL talent who maybe weren't wrestling fans fully growing up, or they knew of it or weren't as into it, or maybe people like Bianca Belair didn't know anything at all till she got the opportunity for it and now has fallen in love with it. But when you get to show them that hit the historic stuff, or here's what we're doing that's paying homage to this, and it just gives people more respect and love for the business, which they can take forward. I'm not sure if there's a better person to do what he's doing, especially with who he is now. I know there's the past of Sean, but he's two different people. We
all change.
Absolutely. Triple H, when he talked about bringing CM Punk back, the first thing they said in their conversation is, hey, man, if I'm the same person I was 10 years ago, or you're the same person you were 10 years ago, we've wasted 10 fucking years. And it's like, bam, you got to grow and evolve. Sean became a better person, and he lost his hair and his left eye kind of went wonky. But hey, he's a better man for it, and it doesn't matter. And he's still Shawn Michaels, and it's cool to see. And when he talks about it too, like you can see the pride beaming in him, and that's just cool. Like when somebody's that into what they're doing because they know they're building the future of the business,
Yeah. See, I know when I asked the question, I know he's not going to win it.
Right. Well,
he's not going to win it. He's not.
Well, win it like from Dave and his.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, that's
normal. Let's go this way. The normal Observer Awards, he won't even come close.
Right, and that's because of those YouTubers who vote, and he should be absolutely. But
I'd like to see where he ranks in their poll, and then we all outside of this know that HBK is doing wonders and should be. But I'm interested to see where he plops into there, though.
No, and I feel like that's one of those reasons why
my voice is shot.
And it started like my allergies are killing me. Like I feel like it started really over a year ago, where Dave I think Dave saw that coming in the sense of what his readers would do, and since then he has always put down everything in NXT. He put down Trick Williams in just some really brutal ways of things he said about Trick, which. None of it was true because Trick is super over and he's really good at this for how long he's been doing it. But Dave tries to plant those seeds, and unfortunately, well, if you're still paying him $15 a month for the quote unquote news he's giving you, you're clearly an idiot. And so there's, the people responding into it aren't the brightest. I think it'd be funny if he didn't have to win it, but man, if he beats Tony, like if it's Triple H, like let's say Triple H, the NJPW person, and then Sean, and then Tony, that would be really funny. But
just for the record, there's a lot of people that you and I both know that get the Observer.
There's a difference of it. They get it. They get it because. Right, they get it either out of habit or like they get it to have the information so they can use it to their advantage. I'm talking about the people that are looking at that as like, this is the news,
gospel,
this is real. Yeah, exactly. The people that are going to turn around and use it as, well, Dave said this as like in an argument about whatever they're trying to, like the people that are trying to say that AEW is a profitable company. I'm like, maybe they might make a profit this year alone, but being a profitable $1.50. Being a profitable company involves the entire time they've been a company. And but it is what it is.
Anybody can make $1.
Yeah.
That's a profit.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. I just would like to see the actual numbers of it, but Dave will just tell you, and whatever he tells you, it'll be 30% more the next time and 30% more the next time.
We're never going to know.
Numbers don't include Max. Exactly.
We'll never know the numbers, and that's fine because we can't.
Yep, and that is what it is, and that's why I don't worry too much about that world of it. That's why I just want their TV product to be better. We talked about this before on Spaces too. It's like when WWE took over, or WWF took over WCW, it wasn't just because of a specific time. Like there was a specific time when it happened, but the show that it happened was the Austin versus McMahon match that they had been building for like a year because the shows had gotten better, and then people finally figured it out. I would love to see AEW do that, where the shows are better and more entertaining and they start to grow and get better. That would be better for everybody. I know people think I'm an AEW hater. I'm not. I just hate what it is now, and that everybody says that Tony can do no wrong when clearly all he's done really is wrong. But that's another story for a different day.
Yep, I think we can wrap there. Cool. I'm pretty satisfied with this one.
Yeah, no, I love it. And so
Spaces next week, AEW disciplinary committee will be with us.
Yes, that was where I was leading first. Perfect. Yep. That'll be 8:05 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Please like, share, subscribe. We're getting more subscribers, more views, more people coming in. Please, if you got your friends who like wrestling or even just like good and interesting conversations, tune into our Spaces or more of our shows. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.